this is the second video in the tutorial for the MT Pro 4 software for the 8-channel scope. We are going to go over loading a file, waveform manipulation, and labeling in this session. We might cover a few other things. I'm going to try to keep this a little shorter than the first lesson. I'm going to shoot for these to be about 10 to 15 minutes long. So we're going to go over that stuff today and give you an idea of how to manipulate the waveform, how to zoom in, zoom out, move the files around a little bit, change your labels. So without that being said, let's just jump into it and get going. So first thing we're going to do is click the open button here, and your program could go to file, open, get you here in the data folder. Now again, it opens to the data folder. Obviously you can go to other folders. The files are saved as MT file, and we're just going to go ahead and open up an injector file. Actually, that's not the one I want. Let's go back and open up this one. Here we go. Just a simple 2-channel recorded session of some injector waveforms. So the first thing I want to show you guys is how to change the label. And I think I did that in the last video, but we're gonna relabel these because it's in Russian or Ukrainian and I can't read that. So we're gonna change that real quick. First thing, let's put our labels on the screen. We're gonna do that by putting both labels on both channels by holding Control and then clicking this label button over here. And let's unanchor these. We're gonna right click, go down to anchor position, and widen these up. All right, so the first one, let's just call cylinder 1 injector. And then once we're done there, we're going to hit Control 2, and that's going to change the channel to 2. We're going to highlight it down here at the channel selection menu. And then just go ahead and type in cylinder 2 injector. So that's done, and we can shrink these up. We can move these wherever we want. We're just going to go ahead and I'm going to shrink these up just a little, actually. There. And we'll leave those up. And then I want to show you guys these measured value blocks. Are pretty sweet. And that's actually not the one I want. I want that one. So what's cool about these, I'm just going to hit Control and get them both up here. What's cool about these is they give you min-max, or max-min. They give you the average, and that's the little DC icon here. Gives you the average voltage on the circuit for the screen, and you can see as we slide the slider back and forth here, that does change. So also, if you bring your cursor down just to the timeline here, it'll change it to a hand with a couple of side arrows, and then you can grab and drag. So if you just want to move it a little bit and you don't like messing with the slider, you could do that. Or as long as you're not selected on anything else, or you click here, you can use just your left and right arrows on your keyboard to move that back and forth. All right, now we're going to get rid of our value blocks. So we're going to go back over to this side, and hit Control, and then click on the value block button and get rid of those. Let's get rid of our names too. So we'll just hit Control, get rid of the names. And now that's gone. Let's go back to channel 1. So we're going to hit Control 1, now that we're on channel 1, we want to get this to where we can see it really well. So I'm going to hit Control and page down, and you can see we're bringing that whole scale down on the screen. So I'm going to bring that scale all the way to the bottom, and then I'm going to hit Control 2, change it to channel 2, and I'm going to hit Shift to raise up the top part of the scale, and then use the up arrow to go up. So now we have those on the same scale, and they're filling the whole screen. And then I'm just going to change back to channel 1, and I'm going to hit Control and the plus sign on the keyboard. And then I'm going to use left and right arrows to look for my waveform I want, and we can really zoom in on this. We can see the pintle hump here, and we can see it pulling to 0. We can see the inductive kick. We can see the clipping on the top. And now we're going to go ahead and zoom back out. So we're going to hit Control and then push the minus button to zoom back out on the keyboard. And then we can also zoom vertically. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit horizontally. And now we're going to zoom vertically by hitting the Alt button on the keyboard and the plus sign. And you can see we're on channel 1, so it's going to let us, we're going to zoom in vertically on channel 1. And we can zoom out vertically, make them real small. And then we're going to go to channel 2, and we're going to use Alt and zoom out again, make them nice and small. And you can see our zeros aren't quite lined up on our screen, so we're going to fix that too. So we're going to hit Alt, up, and you can see it moves our 0 around. We're going to put that there. We're going to go back to channel 1 using Control 1, and we're going to hit Alt and use up and down arrows to get our zeros correct. And I do want to put those right on top of each other. There we go. So then we can go over here, and let's say we want to make these so they're stacked on top of each other quickly. We're on channel 1. We're going to hit Shift, which controls the top part of the graph. We're going to bring that down to about halfway. And then we're going to bring the blue up. So we're going to hit Control 2. So we're controlling channel 2. And then we're going to hold Control and hit up and bring the graph up on channel 2. And then if we wanted to get our vertical resolution back, we can hit Alt, plus. And you can see it takes me off the screen, so I need to bring my 0 down. So now we're going to hit Alt, down, and that brings our 0 lower. I'm actually going to hit Alt minus, and we'll get that back on the screen. And then we're going to go to channel 1. We'll hit Control 1. And the same thing, we're going to hit Alt, down, bring our 0 down. And then we're going to use the plus, Alt plus, to bring our vertical resolution back to where we want. And then we're going to hit Control plus to zoom in. We can see our injector waveform a lot better. I'm going to go ahead and zoom back out. I'm going to show you some cool features with the mouse. So that's a lot of the keyboard functions. There's a ton more keyboard functions, but we're just going to keep it pretty simple for now. So I'm just want to show you some basic waveform manipulation. And you could also control your vertical resolution or vertical zoom with this little slider here, which is pretty awesome. You can actually grab this and then just move your 0 with the mouse. And you saw me do that earlier to line these up. And again, you could always just use these. So like I can combine them. I can put them next to each other. I can stack them like that. And I just like having these on the left side, so I just hit Control and then click on this red one here, and that brings both these to that side. We can click on the other one here by holding Control and put them on the other side. I like them on the left side for some reason, so I keep them over there as long as it's practical. So that takes care of the majority of that. To get, if we want to put markers out, say we want to zoom in here a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's go back. We're going to Control minus, zoom out. I want to zoom into this injector waveform here. And I want to do it quickly and easily. I'm going to click the mouse and then drag it to the right and highlight this section, and then it'll zoom in, just like that. So that's left click, drag it to the right. You can drag it to the left to zoom in. And that gets me in. And I can keep going like that. And then once we're here, say I want to put markers out. I want to measure my on time for my injector. So I'm going to left click and then drag over here and then release. And now I've got my markers out. And down here in the measured section, you can see the delta, which is the distance between the two markers. So we know our on time is around 3.7 milliseconds. And you can see the measured time here. And we also get frequency, which is pretty cool. And we can move these around. And you can actually change the frequency here in the settings to RPM. So let's just do that quick. We're going to go to settings. It was in the oscilloscope. And we're going to go show engine speed on main panel in course measuring. Hit OK. And that changes it to RPM. And we're going to have to zoom back out to get RPM. So we're going to hit Control minus. And it's going to calculate our RPM between the markers there. You can see it's 284. So now, say we want to get rid of our markers. Control Shift and M to get rid of those. And we can pull them back out pretty quickly. So the nice thing about these markers is if you hold the left button, you can see the hand changes from 1 to 2. You see that? And when it's on 1, you're going to have your first marker. So you could go 1, marker there, 2, marker there. Like that. Or you can just drag them. So I like to drag them. So you just hold the right click down and then drag them over. Is the nicest way I found to use them. And then you just hit Control Shift M to get rid of them. So it's hold down the left click, move your marker, and now you've got both of them out. And then Control Shift M gets rid of them. And then same with the zoom. You just click, drag with your left click, zooms in. You want to get a better shot of that. You want to change your vertical resolution a little bit. You can Alt minus, bring it down, Alt plus, bring it up. So, a lot of these keyboard shortcuts, you're going to have to take time to learn how to memorize them or use it regularly, but it is way worth it. It's a pretty neat way to do things. And again, if you want to zoom in on a whole section, pretty straightforward. And all these buttons over here are the same thing, but the keyboard shortcuts I found are pretty nice to use. And you can see you can zoom in and out here for your horizontal zoom. You can zoom in and out at the slider bar if you just want to use the mouse. But I think the keyboard functions and using the mouse slider like that is way nice for zooming in. There's a whole lot of waveform manipulation you can do. I encourage doing a little bit of playing around. Again, all of the tips and stuff show up in your bottom left-hand corner here as you go over everything. So, you're not going to remember those shortcuts all the time, but the more you use this, the more you'll get. It's just really nice to be able to manipulate things with a keyboard versus having to click on everything with a mouse. So even just knowing that Control makes the bottom go up and down with the arrows, Shift makes the top go up and down with the arrows, Alt will move your 0 up and down, and then if you're not on anything and you just use your up and down arrows on whatever channel you're selected, you can move that whole waveform up and down. So you go back to channel 2, and now I can move that waveform up also. So there's a whole lot of manipulation you can do to see what you want to see and analyze what you want to analyze. And between the zoom function, which is as nice as some other really popular scopes, and then again, if I just want to measure maybe the time frame of my whole inductive kick, I can just drag a couple, just right click, and I can right click and drag my markers out there, really quickly get a time frame figured out, and then I can just hit Control Shift M to get rid of my markers. I can hit Control minus to zoom back out horizontally, or I can just go down here and click on this and pick from the time I want to see on the screen. So if I want to see 50 milliseconds on the screen, I can do that. There's 100 milliseconds on the screen. And then you can actually right click on this and group it up. You can also just click on what you want to see also. So this will give you your steps down here. So say you want to just visually measure something and you think you've got about a millisecond of on time on those injectors, you just set your grid up so you can quick glance at it. Same, you just set it up for automatic and it'll automatically give you your grid too. But that's kind of nice just for some quick analysis looking at your grid behind the waveform. This will even give you kind of an idea here. You turn on your main grid step and it's like a little legend like you'd see on a map that tells you how long 5 milliseconds is. And that does change with the zoom. And you can actually do an intermediate grid and an intermediate grid step, and then that shows you what the intermediate length is. So, pretty neat. And it does change when you zoom in and out. So, there's a whole lot of functionality here. I just want to open up a full file with all 9 channels going, so you can see how it gets really nice if you have a lot of waveforms to manipulate. Say I really quickly, I'm going to show you this quick and then we're probably going to end the video here. But say I really quickly want to get a good look at that crankshaft waveform, which is on channel 5. So what I want to do to make my life easy is I'm going to go to channel 1. I'm going to hit Control and hold the down button. It's going to bring that bottom of number 1's graph all the way to the bottom. And then I'm going to hit Shift all the way down, and that's going to fully collapse that channel for me. I'm going to hit Control 2 and Control all the way down to the bottom, Shift all the way down to the bottom. I'm going to hit Control 3, Control all the way down, Shift all the way down, Control 4, Control all the way down, Shift all the way down. And then I'm going to go Control 6, same thing, all the way down, Shift all the way down. And I'm going to go 7, same thing, all the way down, Shift all the way down, just collapse all these waveforms that are in my way. Shift all the way down. So now that all of those are out of my way, let's get rid of 9 too. Let's just shrink that up. So now they're all down except for 5. We're going to go back, hit Control 5, and maybe we just want to get rid of all of our other channels. We're going to hit Control and get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Or Alt. 6, 7, 8. Have is 5. We're going to hit Control 5. So we have control of that waveform. Now I'm going to go all the way down, Shift up. Now we got to look at our waveform, and I want to zoom in on it with a keyboard. So I'm going to hit Control, zoom in horizontally, get a good look at that. And say I want a little bit more vertical resolution, I'm going to hit Alt plus a couple times, and then Control plus, and really get zoomed in. So you can see there's a lot you can do with just the keyboard. And there are some horizontal markers for measuring height. I like this quick one. even though it doesn't really tell you where it's at, you can tell pretty close. I mean, you can look. And here you can pull up your markers so you can see your min-max. You can put your markers out again. Say you want to know the distance between the two. You can get that. You got your frequency down here. Say we want to calculate RPM. We're just going to go to settings and back to the oscilloscope. Click here, hit OK. Changes it to RPM. So we know this engine's running at about 1600 RPMs. You can see that that changes when you move your cursors. And we can just get rid of all that if we wanted. I like this little line here is nice for comparative measurements. Say you're measuring peak to peak and you just wanted a little nicer look at it. You wanted to see what that little downward swale in the middle of the sensor is all about. You could actually measure the difference between those if you needed. So there's a lot of things you can do with this software. It's just getting over the learning curve, and you can see that just acquiring basic signals is not going to be that difficult, and the more you learn about this, it gets super in depth. So yeah, I highly encourage you to watch these one step at a time as we go, as we get deeper and deeper into this. So let's get rid of all our extras and put all our waveforms back on the screen. So they're all, you can't see anything, right? Let's go like that. Click this button here, puts them all back to where we can see them all within reason. And if we wanted to make it really confusing, we could do that. And that gives us all of them in a collapsed view like that. And we can go here, and then it pairs them up. So channels 1 and 2 are on the top, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, and 9's on the bottom. So 9 is the sync channel, so I think it's only a logic input, so it's just 1 or 0. I don't think you can really I don't think that's an analog input. I won't really know that until I get a hold of the tool, but for now I'm going to assume it's an analog, or it's a digital input, so it's 1 or 0. All the other ones are analog inputs, which means it'll scale along the voltage from minimum to maximum. So that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you got a lot out of this, and we're going to continue and really get into this software as we go. And then once we get the tool in our hand, we'll start with some basic measurements using the tool, and then getting into some of the more complex analysis and stuff like that. So thanks again. I hope this helps.